fruits and vegetable nutrients is that they all work naturally to control inflammation in your body. This is one of the reasons why you'll see that so many people have a great response to these products, because almost everyone you meet has inflammation in their system in some form or other, and I can guarantee you almost everyone you meet is not consuming enough fruits and vegetables. And it's almost like I was telling Stephen earlier, it's almost like pouring water on a dying plant. The plant just comes to life. You think something magical happened, but the magic is just in the fact that the plant got what it needed to thrive and be alive. It's the same thing with these products. So we have an ORAC value, which gives you an idea of how concentrated or how important these foods are. And one of the things that's to explain how that actually works, I had people ask me the other day, well, if you got 30 pounds of fruit in one jar, how come there's no calories in it? And the reality is that if you look at fruit in particular, 90-some% of all the calories is just sugar. And 90% of the whole body of it's just water. So when you remove that, you're left with what is the active ingredients, which is the fruit, the fruit skins, the seeds. That part of the plant is a very, very potent antioxidant. And that's how these products are made. They're condensed down to remove the things you don't need from it. You end up with a serving of say a fruit or vegetable product that only has 10 to 15 calories and a couple of grams of sugar, and yet has the potential of eating 2 to 3 pounds of fruits and vegetables. For instance, when you look at the Flavon Max Plus, that product in one serving has more antioxidants than you would get out of eating 2.4 pounds of red cherries. I mean, besides, who could eat 2.4 pounds of red cherries? Yet we need those.
Hello.
How gout is controlled by the antioxidants in cherries. So these are very important foods that we now have access to, and makes it really easy to get in our body. The Max Green, the Green Plus from the premium line, you would have to eat 3.5 pounds of spinach to get the same antioxidant value out of 1 spoon of the Green Plus. So you kind of get an idea about how people are having such great reactions. It's due to the fact that these foods have so much activity in just one little serving. And the body is just taking it on and having this amazing response to it. So when you look at the reason why these things are so important, why fruits and vegetables are so important, is if you look at any of the research that's come out on fruits and vegetables in the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a big push to get people to consume more, because they now know that if you can reach the level of eating 10 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, that you can pretty much cut in half your chance of getting or dying from the 6 major chronic illnesses that affect almost everybody in the world. So you look at cancer, they claim that if you consume that much, you cut your chance of getting cancer in half. Now that's quite an amazing statistic, and yet in America, the average person eats between 1 and 1.5 servings of fruits and vegetables. And that serving usually is something they get from a drive-up window, or it's a banana. And that has very little actual nutritional value in it. And so, you look at, Steven's someone that's been in macrobiotics his whole life, and he eats a very good diet. And so do I. I'm someone that watches my food intake. I have a really clean, amazing diet. And yet when I added these products, even I had great response to it, because my body was still lacking these types of nutrients that occur in these berries. And it's really hard, even for someone that pays attention to food like me, to eat enough berries to even come close to equaling something that I get out of 1 scoop of Flavon products. I did a video not too long ago where I showed 12-ounce bag of organic raspberries from Trader Joe's. And I could get the same level of nutrition out of a half a serving of the Max Plus. And so it's quite amazing when you start to do the math and you start to look at antioxidants and the value and how to get it in your system. It's quite amazing to me that we have access to something like this, and it really explains to me why I'm having so many amazing testimonials. So one of the other most important things about these types of foods is that we don't realize that most fruits and vegetables make their most potent nutrients, the antioxidants and the other phytonutrients, in the last week or two that they're actually growing. And when you think about that, that's one of the reasons why we're lacking it so much in our diet, even if we're eating in a pure organic diet, because most food, I know in this country at least, is picked at least 2 weeks before it actually ripens up. And the reason for that is that it can never make it to the market in all that traveling and shipping and trucking and actually be in a shape to consume the product unless they picked it early enough so that it was hard and hadn't reached its full potential. Or now you're eating apples that maybe are 6 or 7 months old because they've sat in a warehouse. There's so many different issues with the way they pick and process foods that we're just not having access to food in its prime state of antioxidant activity. And this is one of the things that these products really make it easy for you to actually get something picked at the right stage, processed, and then put it into a form that anybody can actually eat and get into their system. So I call these things functional foods. And it's really an easy way to explain what it's about, because it's a food that's put into a form that has a very important function in your life now, because you can use it at any time. You can travel with it. You can throw it in your briefcase. You can have it sitting on your desk. You don't even have to really refrigerate it for long periods of time. I let most of mine sit out on my kitchen counter. And I have some in the fridge. I have some on the counter. I love it sitting on the counter because everybody sees it and we're eating it all day long. My kids see it. They eat it on their own. And again, that's probably one of the most important things that really sold me on the products is my kids love to eat it. They put it on toast. They just eat it out of the jar. And most kids, you just can't get them to eat fruits and vegetables. You can get them to eat an apple. You can get them to eat some peaches when they're around, and maybe a banana, but they're really not getting the level of nutrition they need. So Flavon has this amazing Flavon Kids. It has vitamins and some vitamin C added to it. It's a very potent nutritional mix for kids. And my kids just love it and take it down. So I make sure every month that I have at least 2 of those jars on hand just for my 2 kids to eat. And so it makes it very easy for me to stop worrying about the level of nutrition they're eating, and maybe not worry that every single meal they have to have the exact mix that I think is perfect for them, because I know they can take Flavon with it, and they can take it anytime throughout the day. And so this delivery system that it's in, and Steven and I laugh about this all the time because him and I had the exact same idea when we saw it. Jars of jam, Americans love to eat jam. And so we realized it's like the perfect delivery system. But what I didn't realize when I first took it was that it's really part of an idea of how to get your body to absorb the actual nutrients in the most efficient way. And the way that works, and the way that most antioxidants work, just so you know, and for those of you who don't know me, I've been in the health field since 1981, working as a nutritionist, managing health food stores. I've gone on to become a diplomat of Chinese herbology, meaning I was licensed to practice Chinese medicine in the United States. And throughout that whole time, I've been exposed to nutrition at a very high level. I've manufactured products. I formulate products for other companies. And I know a lot about delivery systems and a lot about how the body actually utilizes nutrients in particular. And so one of the great things about this and why it really works and why it's so potent is not just the auric value on it. It's the fact that you have a full spectrum extract in a jar. And you have a formula of between 8 to 14 different herbs and berries or vegetables in one jar. So you're getting a complex, full spectrum effect of all those different ingredients into one little product that you can actually take. And this is very important, especially with when you think about things just like the Max Plus or the Joy. You look at that and they have a very high auric value. But even more important is that there might be 8 different types of berries in that. Now, berries have a particular flavonoid called an anthocyanin. And then they have things called proanthocyanins. It's not really important that you remember all these long words, but what that means is that the colors produce certain antioxidants that all have a particular size or a particular function in that particular fruit. And when you blend all these different fruits together, you're getting some of those benefits of each particular fruit. Like cherries, for example, I mentioned that earlier. Cherries are known the world over for gout and for arthritis and working on things like rheumatoid. The specific type of inflammation that is happening in your body seems to have an effect from cherries higher than any other fruit. But then you have blueberries in the same mix. Blueberries have a tendency to work really well in your brain and the type of inflammation that gets in your brain and causes long-term damage. And then you have red raspberries. Red raspberries are one of the most potent anti-cancer antioxidants, especially for women, that you could ever put into your system. And then you have things like elderberry. Elderberry is more of an immune system antioxidant that works in your lungs. And then you have aronia and black currant. Aronia and black currant are just off the charts in their effect on eyesight. In fact, they have a particular black pigment in them called C3G, which is a particular antioxidant that's just for your eyes. And it'll have almost an immediate effect on your vision. This is something my wife experienced firsthand. She's had a problem with her eye that I've been trying to fix for 3 or 4 years, giving her various antioxidants, giving her something called astaxanthin, which is known in the health market as the most potent antioxidant in the world for your eyes. Well, my wife never reacted to it. And I'm not giving her a small dose either. I'm giving her a max dose of it every day. She never really had any noticeable effect. Without even telling her about the products from Flavon, she was taking it for a week and just came up to me and she goes, "Roger, is there something in that product for eyes? Because my eyesight has improved and I'm not having much trouble with my eye anymore." And 2 weeks later, she comes up again and says, "My eye is so much better. I can see things now clearly that I couldn't see it very well at all a couple of weeks ago." And why is that? Probably because of the aroni, and the black currant has a specific effect on eyesight in clearing out the type of inflammation that affects your eyes. So, you're kind of getting the idea of why it's so important that all these are in one food and how it would be almost impossible to get that same sort of an effect by just eating food, because you're never going to be able to find these products or these types of foods regularly in a form that you could eat enough of to even come close to what you actually need to have in your system. And aronia berry, by the way, is one of the worst tasting berries you'd ever want to eat. But somehow, when they concentrate it down and they use the pigments and stuff from it, it becomes a mix that tastes so good you want to put it on toast for breakfast. And so it's amazing to me how simple it is to get this in your body. And the main thing that I have learned, and believe me, this is one of the things I'm most excited about with these products. I've been in the nutrition industry and working as an herbalist since 1981. And I've actually learned so much about nutrition in the last 40 days that I've been involved with this company. It just shocks me almost to say. I used to think that your body could only take so much fruit antioxidant at one time and then it would all be wasted, right? Well, it's not true. I'm having people that are having responses with so many different things that I used to be able to, I'd have to put them on 5 different herb products, and they'd be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get some sort of an effect and spending all this money. And all of a sudden, the same person is eating 1 scoop of one of the products, and 4 days later, a lot of their pain is gone, or a lot of their inflammation is gone. And what did that tell me? That tells me that I underestimated how powerful fruits are and how powerful the antioxidants are in them. And I underestimated how little these foods, how little of it most people actually consume, and how we're all running around in a state of deficiency from certain nutrients that our body absolutely has to have to stay healthy. And then, you know, I also have some people that sign up and go, well, who can I mention this to? who would actually need these products, right? Well, I think every single human being in the world needs the products. One of the specific things that these types of nutrients work on are your cardiovascular system, your entire circulatory system, and try and think of someone who doesn't actually need that. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States. And why is that? Because our diet is so poor and it's so full of inflammatory compounds that the first thing that starts to deteriorate is our circulatory system. Now here you have a food which is the #1 class of nutrients that takes inflammation out of the endothelial cells of your arteries and your entire circulation system. How important can that be? It's probably the best food group for your heart, for your brain, for circulation in general, and any type of inflammation that actually affects that. So, you know, it's exciting again to me that we have it in this unique form, and we have a product that literally any human being in the world can benefit from, and probably any human being can actually notice something within 3 or 4 days. And that's what gets me excited about it, without even getting into the business, which is something Steven can tell you a lot about. I'm just excited that I can share these foods with people and have them be able to get something in their body that they actually enjoy doing. And I think it was Steven that told me this, and Zach, my business partner, and I laugh about this all the time because we realize it's true for us. We don't wake up in the morning thinking about, man, I can't wait to take some capsules. But once we got this, it's real easy to wake up in the morning and go, God, I can't wait to have a scoop of flavanoid. I can't wait to have a scoop of my chocolate or a scoop of my berries, right? It gets into your mind that you just love taking nutrition in this way. So Stephen, I'm gonna ask you if anybody's got any questions you'd like me to expand on, and maybe some questions that they have about the products and using them, and we'll kind of go from there.
I just need a little question. How often we can take this gem?
Okay. Generally, when people start out, they get a premium pack. And I always suggest to everybody, this is kind of the protocol, to take 1 serving of each of the 3 jars because they're different. If you have the Joy, which is the chocolate, take that in the morning, take the Max later in the day, and then take the green one with a meal or later in the day too. You don't want to take them all 3 at one time because it's a lot of antioxidants, and the human body can only process so much nutrition at one time. So you want to break it up throughout the day. This is why it's so fun to just sit it out on your counter, because whenever you're around eating, you just take a scoop. But or if you want it to get in your system even quicker, take it before you sit down to eat. It'll go right into your body. But that's how I recommend it to start with. And if you have someone with a real chronic problem, you can actually have them take an extra serving every day of the products. It won't hurt them, and their body probably has a much higher requirement for antioxidants in the beginning anyway, because they're at such a deficit in their system of antioxidants compared to the amount of oxidative stress they're actually producing.
How long time I can take flavon? 1 month, 2 months, maybe we need to have some break time.
How long can you take double, you mean?
Yeah. No.
Well, they're not actually going to hurt you by taking a lot more of the product. I was told out of the office that you could eat about 20, 25 jars a month, and it really wouldn't do anything to you negative, but it would be a waste of money because your body can't use that much. So you can do double doses for probably as long as you want. I have to admit, because I really like the products, there's a lot of times where I'm taking 4 doses of the Protect at one time, just because it happens to be my favorite of the products on toast with breakfast. so I don't look at just using a scoop. I just kind of pour it on and eat it. And my wife loves that one too. She just loves the taste of the cherries. We like that little sour tinge taste of cherries. So even though we're doing the other products, we take a big scoop of that. In fact, I don't even use the little spoon. I have another spoon, which is bigger. And I just take a big scoop of it once a day just because I love the taste of it. I love the feel of it in my system.
Okay, and I have one more question. My client asked me, we can put the jam to water and drink water. Like
Yeah, you can do that. I wouldn't let it sit around for hours and hours. If you put it in the water, drink it right away, because it is a food and it has no preservatives other than the antioxidants in it. So I wouldn't set it in a glass for like 8 hours and something like that. But just consume it, however you want.
So on 2 questions. One, well, how does the body react if you are taking too much of it?
How would the body react if you're taking too much?
You said you can spread it out throughout the course of the day. If you're taking it in the morning, I'm just curious, how would you know that it's too much for your body?
Well, that's a really good question, because generally if you take too much of anything, you might feel a little agitated, meaning, and the reason for that, in Chinese medicine, if your liver can't process something, it makes you a little bit anxious or it makes you a little bit tense. And that might be a way that you know. But I'd be really surprised if that actually happens with someone. But the other way is that if you have blood sugar problems, these things are really good with the type of inflammation that is occurring in your body with things like diabetes or blood sugar issues. And so if you take too much, you might notice that it's starting to really regulate your blood sugar. So maybe that's a way, but I really haven't had any feedback of anybody having any negative reactions to the products at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now I did remember, I did have a client. Now this is what you have to watch with some people. I did have a client that had an eye twitch from taking an antioxidant, and then she revealed to me she was taking 60 times the amount she was supposed to take. She didn't tell me that for 2 weeks. I was trying to get rid of her eye problem, right? But that's just an example, I tell you, of someone that goes to excessive extremes because they think taking 20 times more of something is better than just taking the regular amount. So I think everybody's pretty safe to take double doses on something, but you really don't need to take that much more. Your body works much better taking a certain amount of something, whether it's a normal dose of these products or a double, and taking it consistently over time than it does just taking it like a medicine and downing, a quarter of a jar or something. It's always, everything in health is about time. It's about getting it in your system consistently so your body knows it has the building blocks to run the processes by which it protects its own DNA and runs the anti-aging mechanisms of all your cells. And this is really important because this is one of the things that antioxidants do. They protect your DNA, they protect your cells from damage, and it's something your cells need every single day. You can't take it one day, skip it 5 days, because your body then doesn't have the nutrients on hand at that moment to protect it from something else it was exposed to. This is why we have nutrition. You know, we eat really good nutrition 3 times a day when we have our food. This is why we space things out, because the body has requirements all day long for antioxidants, and just loading up one day, skipping days, isn't how your body actually works.
Sorry for that question. Yeah, Roger, can you explain what ORAC does, also how you spell ORAC?
It's capital letters, ORAC. And here's how you, just a little tip for everybody. This is how you figure out how much food is the equivalent to the ORAC value of the products. You look at a serving of Max Plus. That has a 42,000 approximately ORAC value for one serving, right? Well, you can go on Google and put in ORAC value of fruits and vegetables, and they'll give you a chart and the ORAC value for every single one of those fruits and vegetables. You have to remember, ORAC value is all calculated on 100 grams of the particular food. So if you look at 100 grams of, say, blueberries and you get a number, then you divide that number in the amount of antioxidants in a serving, and it comes up with how many 100 grams you have to figure out makes the same equivalent of that. I think I figured out it was 1.33 pounds of blueberries has the same antioxidants as 1 little spoon of the Max Plus. That gives you kind of an idea how the whole system works. In fact, for the greens, the Max Greens, the Green Plus, I figured out it was 2.8 pounds of broccoli has the same ORAC value as 1 serving of the Green Plus. So that's kind of how you figure that all out. And if you just get 2 or 3 of these examples, boy, when you tell somebody that, their brain, they can see that picture. They can see 2.4 pounds of cherries sitting on a big plate, and they can see that 1 little spoon, right? And it's real easy for them to make the connection about how potent it is. But yet, in the jar, you don't get all the sugar, because again, fruits are mostly sugar and water. You don't get all of that. You're just getting the active constituents that your body can take in. And this is a point I didn't make earlier, but I was kind of getting into it. When you see most antioxidants in a health food store, they're always in a capsule. And what that means is that they've just taken the skin and dried it and put it into a cap. And generally, they've isolated one chemical out of that skin that they think is the most important chemical, and then you're missing the rest of the plant. This is one of the reasons why it doesn't work as well as in a form like this, because a plant might have one chemical that they think is the most important, yet there's usually thousands of them in that particular food that all support the one that we think is the most important. And so science, because they're into single chemicals, doesn't understand that. They isolate a single chemical, stick it in a cap, and that's it, right? Well, in this, you're getting everything that's in the exact fruit, and you're getting all the constituents that make your body recognize it and actually absorb it much easier than those harsh capsules that you buy in a store.
Roger, do you know anything about what the process is, or how they make this in terms of going from raw fruit to vegetables?
Yes. I don't know the exact process. I do know it's proprietary, and I do know they have contracts with farms to take their crops and put it into a form that they can then run through their process. So let's say maybe with aronia berry, they make a very concentrate juice straight off when they bring the plants in, and then that's sent to the factory, and then they run it through their proprietary process to remove water and excessive sugar and get it down to just a concentrate with the other fruits and vegetables. And that's kind of how they do it with everything. They won't tell you the exact process, but they have contracts that they've had for, the company's been in existence 11 years, the entire time, where farms are just producing this particular food for them and then putting it through a process that they can then distill down into a concentrate in their jars.
Can you also tell us?
We have only 2 minutes. Roger, we have 2 minutes. And
Mine says less than a minute.
1 minute. Are you check?
Can you tell us quickly about a few of the other testimonials that we had?
Sure. You want to send me a different link and maybe I can pop back up again? Because I'm probably only got about 20 seconds here.
Okay, I will try organize new tool, okay?
All right, send me another link
Okay.
and I'll answer your question.
Only 2 people come up with this.